high VO2 max means that you can deliver more oxygen to your muscles, meaning that you can ride harder for longer. But how do you go about improving your VO2 max? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you some sessions that you can add to your training. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with VO2 max, let me get you up to speed and tell you what it is and why it's so important. Firstly, what does VO2 max stand for? Well, the V stands for volume, O2 stands for oxygen, and max stands for maximum you can do. VO2 max is a measurement of the maximum amount of oxygen that an individual can utilise during intense exercise, and it is measured in millimetres of oxygen per kilogram of mass per minute. Endurance athletes tend to have a really high VO2 max, with cross-country skiers, long-distance runners and cyclists being some of the best performers. Some of the best VO2 max values recorded have been by cyclists the likes of Greg Manon, Chris Froome and most recently Tadej Pogačar. Now, VO2 max isn't the only reason that they are great athletes, but it does play a big part in their success. And VO2 max isn't only important for athletes, it's also really important for everyday people who want to live a long and healthy lifestyle. And Dan has recently done a really great video on this topic, so make sure to go and check that one out. Now, if you don't know what your VO2 max is, how do you go about finding it? Well, VO2 max testing is usually done in a sports lab with lots of special equipment, and you can pay and go and have it done. A quick Google online and I'm sure you'll find somewhere close to you that will be able to do it. Now, it involves some pretty hard testing where you have to reach your max, and you also have to wear a pretty interesting looking mask.
If you aren't about to head to a sports lab, then some sport and smartwatches give an estimate VO2 max. Whilst this might not be 100% accurate, it can be useful in helping you measure your effort and progress.
Now let's move on to how you go about improving your VO2 max. Now, if you're fairly new to cycling and you haven't been doing much exercise, then just riding consistently is going to help. And for example, I've recently just done 6 weeks of just zone 2 training off the back of not doing very much, may I add, and I did see an improvement in my VO2 max. It wasn't much, but it was an improvement. But now I'm back into the swing of things and riding more consistently. If I did want to improve it further from here, I'd need to add some more specific intervals.
Think about it like this. If zone 2 training will help improve the efficiency of your engine, then training your VO2 max will help increase the size of your engine.
Now, for this video, I got in touch with Lawrence from The Complete Athlete to help with some sessions that we can do to get improving our VO2 max, and this is what he recommended. When it comes to improving your VO2 max, it is a heavily debated topic with many types of training reported to enhance it. This includes continuous moderate exercise, long duration high intensity interval training, short HIIT, intermediate HIIT, and even sprint interval training. High intensity interval training is a lot more effective than low intensity exercise, but athletes typically with a really high VO2 max will be doing lots of high volume work and consistent work in those zones 1, 2 and 3. Micro intervals can be really effective as well, as something I did a lot of in my pro cycling career. A session with micro intervals could look something like 30 seconds at a really high intensity, followed by 10 to 30 seconds at a lower intensity. Micro intervals typically obtain a lower blood lactate concentrations and permit more time spent at a high percentage of VO2 max. So longer intervals, say 5 to 10 minutes, accumulating to a total amount of work of 40 to 45 minutes, would be a lot more effective than, say, if you chose to do shorter intervals, so 2 to 4 minute intervals, accumulating to a total amount of work of 20 to 25 minutes. An example of a session that you could do that is really basic is that you could do 8 minutes on, have 4 minutes off, and then you could repeat that 3 to 5 times within your session. And you want that 8 minutes to be around your critical power or just a little bit above your FTP. So you're exposing yourself to lots of time at high intensity, and it's super easy to do. Now, if you want a little bit more of an advanced session, you could do 9.5 minutes of 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off. Do that for 9.5 minutes, then you can have 3 minutes off and you can repeat that 3 to 5 times within that session. Now, this session will accumulate time at or close to power at your VO2 max, as well as time at a high percentage of maximal oxygen uptake. So you want that 30 seconds to be around 95 to 100% of power at VO2 max. This is something that you could typically hold for around 3.5 to 4 minutes if you were going full gas. And then the 15 seconds off wants to be around 50% of that power. Now, some studies have shown that you can get improvements in as little as 2 weeks, but typically that's with doing around 4 to 5 sessions a week, which is a lot. But the adaptations of doing sessions like we've spoken about today are much quicker than if you were to do zone 2 training like I have done in the past. So say maybe give yourself 3 to 4 weeks of doing 6 to 8 sessions, you should see a significant improvement. But this is something you want to be consistent with and keep going, not just doing little blocks here and there. So do let me know in the comments section if you found this video useful and if working on your VO2 max is something that you want to do. As always, if you enjoyed, give it a big thumbs up and I'll see you in the next one. Oh God, my lungs.